You don't lack discipline, you lack trust in yourself. That's why you keep starting over. Not because you are weak, because deep down, you no longer believe your own promises. You said, tomorrow, I'll change this time. I'll stay consistent. I'll do better. And then you broke the promise again. That is your first truth. Every broken promise to yourself becomes evidence. Evidence that you cannot rely on yourself. And eventually, your mind stops taking you seriously. That is why motivation disappears so quickly, because your brain remembers what you pretend to forget. It remembers the unfinished plans, the abandoned goals, the routines that lasted 3 days. And now every new goal feels fake before you even begin. That is not laziness. That is self-betrayal repeated too many times. That is your second truth. Discipline is impossible when trust is broken. Because discipline is not force, it is self-agreement. And people who do not trust themselves constantly negotiate with their own decisions. I'll start later. One day won't matter. I'll do it tomorrow. And every negotiation weakens identity. Because confidence is not built by thinking highly of yourself. It is built by keeping promises when nobody is watching. That is the part most people never understand. Self-respect is not created through affirmations. It is created through evidence. Your brain does not care what you say. It watches what you repeat. And if your actions constantly say, I quit, I avoid discomfort, I escape pressure, I abandon myself, then eventually that becomes identity. That is your third truth. Your habits are voting for the person you believe you are. That's why many people become addicted to starting over. Starting over feels hopeful. It creates emotional relief. A new plan, a new beginning, a new version of yourself. But real growth is not exciting. Real growth is repetition. And repetition is boring to people addicted to emotional intensity. So they chase motivation instead of building trust. That is why discipline advice fails most people. Because discipline is not the first problem. Trust is. You cannot build consistency on top of self-betrayal. That is your fourth truth. Your mind listens to actions more than intentions. So what happens now? You stop making dramatic promises. You stop creating unrealistic plans. You stop chasing perfect routines. Because every failed fantasy damages trust further. Instead, you start rebuilding credibility with yourself. Small promises, repeated consistently. Not because they change your life instantly, but because they repair identity. Because every kept promise sends a new message to your brain. I can rely on myself, and that changes everything. That is your fifth truth. Confidence is not created by success. It is created by self-trust. And self-trust is built through consistency during ordinary moments. Not emotional speeches, not motivation spikes, not temporary excitement. That's why truly disciplined people often look calm, because they stopped negotiating with themselves long ago. Look at your life honestly. How many times did you destroy trust in yourself while calling it lack of motivation? That question makes people uncomfortable because most already know the answer. So what changes now? You stop asking, how do I become disciplined? And start asking, how many promises to myself have I already broken? Because discipline does not begin with motivation. It begins the moment you become believable to yourself again. Want more truths like this? Subscribe now. Most people avoid hearing them because most people would rather protect their excuses than rebuild trust with themselves. In the next episode, we'll expose why what many people call being realistic is often just fear with a smarter name. This channel isn't here to motivate you. It's here to help you see differently. And people who see things differently don't watch once, they stay.